Welcome back to Randon Real Estate, broadcasting live from the RE/MAX R4 International Convention at the Mandalay Bay in Las Vegas. I'm Greg Rand, your host. This is Randon Real Estate on 77 WABC and WABCRadio.com. We're here at a global gathering of real estate experts from all over the planet, among the #1 real estate company in the world, and we're creating a time capsule here of real estate according to RE/MAX in the spring of 2012. This is going to be for all posterity. We're finding out from local experts what's happening in their little piece of heaven, and we're talking about real estate as an asset class, as an investment, and we're going to California. All right, I'm very happy to welcome Pete. Is it Dakin?
Dakin, yes.
Pete Dakin from RE/MAX. Tell us about yourself. Tell us about your town and where you live.
Paso Robles. I live in Paso Robles, California, San Luis Obispo County. San Luis Obispo County, California is midway between Los Angeles and San Francisco on what's called the Central Coast of California. San Luis Obispo County, 300,000 people, very desirable area from a quality of life standpoint. It's a huge viticultural and wine region. In Paso Robles alone, we have over 250 wineries. The #1 wine in the Wine Spectator last year was Saxum, which was from Paso Robles, as an example. San Luis Obispo, the city in the southern end of the county, has a wine region. The appellation is Edna Valley appellation. So San Luis Obispo is very much akin to Santa Barbara, which is just south of an hour and a half. Paso Robles is a little more western or rural, say a little more akin to maybe an older Carmel, I guess, is a better way of looking at it.
All right, cool. So what we do here is what Randon Real Estate's about is teaching people how to create wealth using real estate as the vehicle, all right? It's not a get-rich-quick game. It's a get-rich-slowly game, but get rich nonetheless. And we're very big on trying to give people the methodology of how to pick a winning market. And so what you and I are looking at, and the audience can't see it, so we're going to paint a picture for them in their mind's eye. We've got two graphics up on the screen here that we're looking at that are kind of our jumping off points. The first one shows the housing chart for the last 10 years. What have home prices done in your market in the last 10 years? And it looks a little bit like the top of a mountain, right? So it began, let's see, you were in the high 2s back in the beginning of the decade. You peaked in the mid-5s, and you're back now to the kind of the low 3s, it looks like. Maybe right about $300,000. So you shared in the party, and you're sharing in the hangover now, right? So the market has taken a little bit of a hit. Do you see a lot of foreclosures and short sales in the market? Are you guys being affected by that whole crisis?
Yes. Paso Robles, I'd say still 30 to 40% of our marketplace is short sales or foreclosures. Your point of picking a winning market, I think, is really salient, because you want to look at the future of the community, any community you're looking at, whether you're looking at a Stockton or Bakersfield or Fresno or West LA.
Right.
What does this community have to offer? We don't have a lot of jobs. We never will be. People with money find it desirable. It's a very high quality of life place. So that's what's driven our market over the years, is what I call the urban refugees from West LA and the Bay Area coming with their money, cashing out there or buying a second home here. Our home price is actually a little below $300,000, which in California is cheap.
Right.
And so your point of what is going to make this market good, long-term perspective, people with money like a community like this. People with money like wine. Every community has to have a stake horse or a stud pony, whether it's jobs, in West LA, or whether it's a quality of life situation, Huntington Beach, the ocean,
right.
Carmel has, or you're contiguous to an urban area, like a Napa Valley or even a Fremont, contiguous to an urban area, not necessarily desirable. So I think it's a winning region. Now, within this region itself, you want to buy low and sell high, in anything, but fundamentally in California, it's extremely expensive to develop property.
Right.
The word entitlements is just a building. Let me give you an idea alone. In Paso Robles alone, a building permit is $60,000. You haven't bought the dirt yet, and that'll be $100,000, and probably within the next decade.
Okay, so you've got supply. New supply is stifled by that, which is a supporter. If you've got demand, and you mentioned the migration from West LA, some of the places, we're actually looking at a chart that bears that out. That you are drawing population from northern and southern California. It sounds like it's like a best-kept secret that you've let out to the rest of California. They go from the busy places to the quieter place, and it's things like that. The government putting a lid on development, which in a lot of ways, this is a pure supply and demand marketplace. If supply, you look at some of the places that have gotten slammed by the housing crisis, oversupply, overdevelopment, overspeculation was one of the major evils in that whole process. You guys have some built-in backstops to keep that from happening, it sounds like.
Tremendous insight there in your part, Greg. That's no doubt. If you look at Las Vegas, Stockton, Phoenix, those are all areas where you can replicate product really easily.
Right.
It's really hard to replicate product, build product in Paso Robles, and it's only going to get harder. And so today, you buy a home for $250,000, $60,000 is the permit, the home's already built. The home's still going to cost you $125,000 or $125 a foot to build, pretty much, for just a standard home. So you're buying homes for less than the replacement cost. You're buying homes and getting the dirt for free. You're looking at a lot of different ways you can look at it, however you want to look at it, which is nice. You're buying, but the key thing on anything right now, I like in the residential single-family homes. You got a mountain chart there. Well, I've only been doing this 30 years, but I've seen that mountain before,
yep.
Right? So residential single family tends to swing more than most product. So you're buying something now, you can rent that $250,000 home for $1,700 a month.
That's a positive cash flow investment right there.
Well, yeah, even if you don't leverage, but people are just paying cash for it. So you put down $250,000. I don't know what else you're going to get $1,700 a month in cash flow, period.
Right.
And it take a couple months out for taxes. And our taxes in California are capped. You look at a home. I have a friend of mine that lives outside of New York. He lives in a $1.2 million home. They pay $50,000 in property taxes.
Right.
Well, you buy $1 million home in California, you pay $10,000, and that's all you're going to pay.
Yeah, but you don't have any police or firemen, do you?
We have a lot of police and firemen.
They don't pave your roads, though, do they?
We got plenty.
Because I live in Westchester County, New York. I'm one of those fools that pays crazy taxes, and I'm always assuming you guys don't have, electricity or something.
No, it's amazing we've been able to do it without the government, but I'm sure hoping they come in stronger. I'm waiting. We're waiting for the hope and change.
Yeah, well, we'll see. We'll see about that. But I like, you mentioned the investors coming in and buying the properties and getting positive cash flow. It's likely that wasn't possible at the peak of that little mountain there.
See, and the beautiful thing about all this, where I live, now I'm not taking this to the next level, but where I live, the beautiful thing is, so you have the government putting all these high entitlement costs on it. You have rents very high or higher. That same house, probably 5 years ago, rented for $1,500 or $1,400. Now it rents for $1,700. So the rents have gone up. Why have the rents gone up? We don't have any jobs. Why have rents gone up? Because for every person that walks from a home, and there's plenty of people just putting the keys in, they just don't want
come and get it. Right.
They become a renter.
Right.
And so now they take themselves out of the market for a good 3 to 7 years. Well, I don't know how long that's actually going to be, but
their credit's shot for the time being, and we're told that they're going to be blacklisted by Fannie and Freddie for 7 years if they walk away. But the point is, they got kids that want a backyard. They're not going into an apartment complex, and you hit something really important there. Normally, rental property is thought of by investors as multifamily, a 100-unit apartment complex. And a 100-unit apartment complex, the value of that building is tied to the rents. All right, it's a formula based upon profitability. So as the rents go up, so does the value of the property. Not so with single-family homes. Single-family homes valuations are based upon comparable sales. So we have this very strange perfect storm of deviated trends. We've got home prices coming down simultaneous with rents going up. So where 5 years ago you paid $450,000 for the house and got $1,400 a month, now you pay $275,000 and you get $1,800 a month. And if you lock that in, whether you get financing or not, if you lock it in with financing 30-year fixed, that circumstance right now is like this convergence of rates, rental rates, and prices that I've never seen. And I've only been doing this 20 years, so you got me by 10. But I've never seen anything quite like this, which is why we're going so fast to tell as many people as we can to look at markets fresh All right, your marketplace was not a positive cash flow market 5 years ago. It is now. It's not necessarily going to be forever, meaning that values are going to come back. California always, the country always revives.
Yeah.
California is going to lead us out of this thing at some point. And so, are you seeing an uptick in investor activity? People that are catching on?
Yeah, I mean, it's been going on for over a year now, or maybe even 2 years. See, our market I think another thing is our market bottomed probably. Our actual average price is about $267. Surprisingly, Zillow is wrong, but our actual average is about $267. That's what it was at the end of January in 2011. So, and then through 2011. I'm sorry, the end of, so for over a year now, we've been stable. Now, those people, those investors have been buying really actively for almost 2 years, and most of it's cash. You know, another enigmatic thing, and this whole thing that doesn't make any sense, you could get this country going quicker, is you can't get good money if you're an investor. You know, you can get 3% money with zero down, and they'll pay all your points, and you don't have a job. But as an investor, no, we're going to charge you more. If they change that around, but most of the investors are paying cash. You know, write a check for $220,000. Where else are you going to get any kind? And it's much safer. You know, if you really look at it.
Yeah, well, I think that you're going to see. I think the government is fine. I mean, everything they do is backfired. It almost makes you think. I mean, they've got Ivy League degrees. They're not idiots, and so you'd think that they're either doing this on purpose or they really don't have any clue. And I'm of the opinion that it's a little bit of both. In that, well.
So they're socially engineering. That's
exactly. There's going to be a new definition of low-income housing. It's called 1 million single-family homes owned by the government all across the country. But they're starting to recognize the fact that that investors are an important part of, or are the most motivated segments of an untapped reservoir. And you mentioned, everybody's not broke, all right? And there's a lot of people out there with money on the sidelines. They recognize the opportunity, and there are so many disadvantages in the regulations, like if you own 10 houses and you pay your mortgages on time and you're an experienced landlord, you're out. You can't get an 11th, okay? Freddie Mac, you can't even get a 5th. So it's stupid, right? You can't get an FHA loan. I think they're going to change, like a simple thing like an FHA investor loan would be a beautiful thing. And I don't mean 3% down. Make it 35% down, whatever you want to do. Just make some financing available, because for everybody who buys a house with cash, they buy a $250,000 house with cash, they should have bought two. With 50% leverage, they would get a better return on it. And
they lock that money in for a long term. That's the perfect storm you talked about earlier is simply that. If you really have the guts, you lock in that 30-year loan at 4 or 5%. You know.
Right. Well, it's a beautiful situation. I'm glad to see that investors are starting to wake up to the opportunity out there, because it truly is something unprecedented. And what we're excited about here is that RE/MAX, your organization, is really jumping very aggressively forward to equip the national organization with the education and the tools and the know-how to be able to tap that reservoir. Because a really interesting stat that recently came out was that of all the people that are on the internet searching for information on real estate investing, 59% have never invested before. So 25% of all the home sales in this country are investors, and yet the vast majority of them online who are tinkering around have never done it before. So if we enable them, if we teach them how to do it right, if we're a voice of reason, there's no get rich quick, but there is get rich, if you do it right. So I'm really pleased to have you here, Pete. I appreciate you being here. Give everybody your web address so they can find you.
It's Pete at passoftheoaks.com, PASSOFTHEOAKS.com, Pete at passoftheoaks.com.
And what's Pass of the Oaks?
That's our city's, what our city refers it to, Paso Robles. El Paso de Robles is Pass of the Oaks.
Okay, cool. All right, thank you very much. Glad to have you here. You're listening to Randon Real Estate on 77 WABC and WABCRadio.com, broadcasting from the R4 convention in Las Vegas. Back in a moment.